show is, well, amazing. The Amazing World of Gumball is a show I wrote off as being another buddy comedy show focused on two idiots who annoy everyone around them. You know, complete and utter nonsense. And though that is true to a point, I suppose, the show managed to surprise me with how smart, satirical, self-aware, and genuinely funny it was. The show has also managed to have an emotional core without losing its unique, fast-paced slapstick humour. Cartoons based on family sitcoms are, of course, nothing new. Replacing the human characters with nonsensical creatures allowed the animation to go beyond the limitations of a live-action comedy. It just goes to show that you should never judge a show by its advertising. After all, nonsense is still a form of communication. Just because a show may seem to lack any coherent meaning doesn't mean it's not worth your time. As the writer Roald Dahl says, "A little nonsense now and then is relished by the wisest men." Celebrating the absurd can result in unique creations, and by the way, I am never singing in a video ever again. What most people will notice right off the bat is that this show has absolutely no stylistic unity. The show is chaotic, off the wall, explosive, and stupid. And yet, somehow, it works. I guess sometimes breaking rules like stylistic unity and consistency can actually work in your favour and result in the creation of something in a class of its own. It's funny because the show is set in a school. Don't laugh at my jokes, I don't deserve it. Laugh at my career instead, that's the real joke here, right? To me, this show is one of the most sophisticated shows on Cartoon Network, not just in its unique look, but with the writing and the delivery. Because of its multimedia format, mixing several different animation techniques and characters together, this show has a very unique look, sort of like a children's scrapbook. The original premise of the show was that it was going to be set in a school that was specifically for rejected cartoon characters. This would have made for an interesting concept, but would have put more limits on the show when it came to the story. Instead, the show focuses on Gumball and his family, as well as Gumball's antics at school. The show widely embraces the absurd, the nonsensical, as well as the satirical and surreal. There's also something often uncanny and haunting, as well as disturbing. It always manages to keep its tongue-in-cheek humour though, meaning both children and adults can enjoy it together. Episodes like The Puppets, or The Money, or The Copycats are three perfect examples that showcase Gumball's style and sense of humour. Though the show is episodic instead of having a season-long running story, like Steven Universe has for example, the show also manages to use rhetorical means to provide commentary on issues in society without forcing it or feeling educational or pandering. More specifically, a subject that is rarely explored in children's entertainment. In the episode The Best, Carmen the Cactus is giving Gumball constructive criticism while Gumball feels she is simply being controlling and bossy. Darwin tries to justify Carmen's actions while Gumball becomes obsessed with either proving her wrong just for the sake of winning an argument that isn't there, or by ruining her reputation by digging up dirt on her. Yeah, this episode tackles social justice warriors, and it's amazing. Now, this is a subject I have touched on before. It's also something I have been accused of being before. It seems the term is thrown at anyone who voices their opinion, even when it is specifically asked for. Taking constructive criticism is not easy. Believe me, I'm still learning how to take it on board without it feeling like it is an attack on me as a person, even when it's genuinely not. However, giving constructive criticism is even harder than taking it. More often than not, people throw vague and insulting statements at someone or their content, and when they are confronted, they say, "Oh, it's just constructive criticism." Constructive criticism should contain helpful and specific suggestions to allow for a positive change. It focuses on a particular issue or a set of issues instead of providing general feedback on something as a whole. To me, constructive criticism should point out what we are doing wrong while also giving us the tools or knowledge to make things better. It should also be noted that constructive criticism should be given in a coherent, knowledgeable, and respectful way, all of which Carmen is doing in this episode. At the beginning of this episode, Carmen asks Gumball how he is doing. She's being friendly and social while they eat lunch together. Gumball, however, is more interested in his phone than actually talking, so sends her a text instead of engaging in conversation. You could say that Gumball has every right to act like this since he didn't ask for any social interaction and probably just wanted to be left alone while he ate his lunch. But ignoring Carmen, giving her no eye contact, and then texting her when she was sitting right in front of him was extremely rude. Carmen, feeling ignored, criticizes Gumball's lunch, saying it isn't a balanced diet. Instead of taking her criticism on board, he throws his lunch away. Then, when accused of being wasteful, he eats his lunch out of the trash can. It's the equivalent of an artist deciding never to make art again just because someone gives them constructive criticism once. When Gumball attempts to beat her at her own game on the school bus when she gives up her seat for a pensioner, Gumball does it without knowing the full picture, and is disrespectful to both Carmen and the pensioner, and is incoherent and patronising to Carmen. He's not doing it to help the pensioner, he's doing it to win an argument that simply isn't there. At no point does Carmen insult Gumball. She doesn't call him names or bully him into doing things her way. To her, she is simply trying to help him be a better person, pointing out what he's doing wrong, while also explaining why and how to be better. The problem is, if constructive criticism isn't asked for or indeed wanted, the person receiving it can end up feeling like they are being controlled or being shamed. As a result, they retaliate by automatically assuming the worst in people or do things out of impulse in an attempt to end the conversation. Gumball resorts to mastering the ways of the social justice warrior, which to him basically means winning an argument by any means necessary, refusing to accept he was wrong or made a mistake. Accountability is the first step toward learning how to take constructive criticism. Gumball never does that here. Instead, he becomes a social justice warrior. The term social justice warrior is a pejorative term for an individual who promotes socially progressive views, including feminism, civil rights, and multiculturalism, as well as identity politics. Though, of course, in Gumball's head, he believes he is fighting for his and others' civil rights, which means he can be rude, condescending, and violent for the purpose of relieving his frustrations or validating his sense of unwanted moral superiority. In essence, Carmen is the real definition of an SJW, while Gumball is just the Urban Dictionary version of what an SJW is. And of course, Carmen easily defeats him without resorting to intimidation or violence. Both Carmen and Gumball represent the good and bad sides of social justice. If you are doing it just to win a petty argument and to make yourself look good or make someone else look bad, you are doing it for the wrong reason. You're not fixing the issue, you're only making it worse. Carmen points out that exploiting these powers to win a petty argument only hurts the cause of the people who really need help. After Gumball is defeated yet again by Carmen's constructive criticism, he decides to dig up dirt on her to expose her as the hypocrite she is, believing that he somehow owes it to his classmates. Resorting to attempting to damage someone's reputation by discrediting them or even doxing them is something else that the Urban Dictionary versions of SJWs tend to do, harassing or even bullying someone to intimidate them so they feel a sense of justice and superiority over them, and also have a false sense of validation when people agree with them. You can give someone constructive criticism without resorting to intimidation or harassment. No one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, and everyone is always learning, or should be willing to learn, in order to be a better person themselves, or to make their content better. This is why The Amazing World of Gumball is amazing, especially in this episode. Instead of simply making fun of social justice warriors like Family Guy did, or even The Simpsons did, this episode showcases both the good and bad sides of social justice. The difference is the motivation. If you're looking to win an argument just to make yourself look good, that's bad social justice. If you're doing it to help others and help the issue instead of making it worse, that's good social justice. It's better to showcase the good and the bad side of an issue, instead of simply making fun of the people who actually care about it. Are you listening, Seth MacFarlane? More often than not, resorting to intimidation or even harassment will bite you in the ass. Hard. Likewise, giving constructive criticism to someone who refuses to take it on board is a waste of time. It's a you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't scenario. Taking constructive criticism on board is all to do with humility. Acknowledging that you're not always right shows maturity. It shows you are willing to grow as a person. It's funny because the character who is willing to grow in this episode is a cactus. She is more willing to acknowledge the mistakes of her past because she is mature enough to be accountable for her actions. She is willing to grow. Gumball is not willing to change or grow and is happy being the way he is. I find it hilarious that a show that is suitable for children was able to handle the subject of SJWs better than Family Guy or The Simpsons did or ever will probably. Unlike Family Guy or The Simpsons, The Amazing World of Gumball doesn't feel like it's being used as the creator's mouthpiece, nor is it straight up mocking all SJWs. Instead, The Amazing World of Gumball gives social commentary, taking advantage of its medium while also being incredibly clever and funny while doing it, painting both sides of an argument in good and bad light. I feel that Gumball is a show that has true intelligence and heart beneath its absurd and nonsensical surface. It's able to say more because of its multimedia format. I wouldn't say this is a kids' show, but rather that it is a show that is suitable for children, but is also made for adults in mind. It doesn't feel like it's pandering, nor does it feel sugar-coated. Give this show a watch if you haven't already, guys. Honestly, it might surprise you. I'm just sorry it took me so long to get to it. What can I say? I'm easily distracted. I'm Mad Munchkin. Stay creative.